Have you ever noticed how some days feel like a carbon copy of the one before? You wake up, you go through the motions, you replay the same thoughts in your head, you experience the same emotions that you felt yesterday, and before you know it, the day has ended, and it feels eerily similar to the last. It's as if life itself is looping, running on a program you didn't consciously choose. And yet, deep down, a quiet voice whispers that you are meant for more. That whisper is your higher self, calling you to step out of yesterday's frequency and into a new vibration of reality. Most people never realize that their lives are governed not by the present moment, but by the subconscious mind clinging to the past. The subconscious is like a recorder. Every thought, every experience, every emotion you've ever repeated has left an imprint on it. And without awareness, that recorder plays back yesterday's song again and again. The result? A life that looks different on the surface, but feels strikingly familiar. You may have new faces around you, new jobs, new opportunities, but the energy underneath hasn't changed. It's the same fear, the same self-doubt, the same patterns dressed up in slightly different clothes. This is why so many seekers of transformation feel stuck. They read the books, they listen to the podcasts, they repeat the affirmations, but they still find themselves falling into the same cycles. It isn't because they are broken or unworthy. It's because they are unconsciously tuned to yesterday's frequency, a channel that broadcasts limitation, scarcity, and repetition. Imagine trying to tune into uplifting music, but your radio dial is stuck on static. No matter how much you want to hear the melody, you can't until you shift the dial. That's exactly what your subconscious mind does with your reality. Now here's the paradox. Your conscious mind might dream of abundance, love, or transformation, but your subconscious mind, the deeper layer, will only give you what it's programmed to recognize as familiar. If you've been conditioned to expect disappointment, it will guide you towards situations that match that expectation. If you've internalized the belief that love is difficult, it will replay that belief until it feels like truth. The subconscious isn't cruel. It isn't against you. In fact, it's trying to protect you by holding on to what it knows. But in doing so, it keeps you tethered to yesterday, preventing you from stepping fully into tomorrow. This is why awakening to your frequency is so important, because the moment you see that your life is not random, but patterned, you reclaim the power to change the pattern. You realize that you are not a victim of your past, you are simply tuned to it. And if you can shift the signal, even slightly, you begin to experience life on a new wavelength. Possibilities you couldn't perceive before begin to emerge. People who match your higher energy begin to appear. Doors you thought were locked suddenly swing open. Think about it. Every great transformation in your life has always begun with awareness. Before you learned a new skill, you first became aware of your ignorance. Before you left behind an unhealthy relationship, you first became aware that it was draining your spirit. Awareness precedes change. And here, awareness of the subconscious running yesterday's program is the first spark that lights the fire of your new reality. So I want you to pause, even as you listen to these words, and ask yourself, what is the frequency I've been unconsciously living on? Is it a frequency of worry, always bracing for the next problem? Is it a frequency of self-doubt, expecting failure no matter how much effort I put in? Or is it a frequency of limitation, telling me I can't go beyond what my family, my culture, or my past has taught me is possible? Be honest with yourself, because honesty is liberation. And then I want you to imagine another possibility. Imagine waking up tomorrow and feeling the freshness of a new vibration. Imagine looking around and noticing that the people, opportunities, and even random coincidences in your life carry a different energy, an energy that reflects joy, abundance, and freedom. Imagine what it would feel like if your subconscious wasn't dragging you backward, but was aligned with the future you're dreaming of. That future isn't far away. In fact, it's waiting in a parallel frequency right now. The only difference between the version of you that's stuck and the version of you that's thriving is the channel your subconscious is tuned to. This journey we're about to take together is not about escaping your life. It's not about pretending the past never happened. It's about shifting the frequency of your inner world so that your outer world naturally follows. It's about seeing the patterns, understanding the programming, and then consciously reprogramming your mind to match the energy of the reality you truly desire. When you do this, manifestation stops being a random accident. It becomes a deliberate, quantum act of creation. You are here, listening to this, because some part of you knows that the life you're living is not the life you came here for. Some part of you senses that you are capable of more love, more freedom, more abundance, and more alignment than you have yet experienced. That part of you, the higher self, is nudging you right now. It's whispering, it's time to tune to a new frequency. It's time to let go of yesterday's script. It's time to live in alignment with the reality you've always felt was possible. So as we move forward, I invite you to stay open, let your mind soften, let your heart expand, and let your energy be receptive. Because the moment you realize that yesterday's frequency does not define you, you begin the process of shifting into a whole new dimension of reality. And once that shift begins, there is no going back. The old self dissolves, the new self emerges, and your life becomes a living testament to the power of conscious creation. Think about how many times you've promised yourself that tomorrow will be different. You'll eat better, you'll be more disciplined, you'll finally have that courageous conversation, or you'll take the step toward the dream you've been putting off. And yet when tomorrow arrives, it feels strangely familiar. The same old doubts creep in, the same habits pull you back, the same emotions replay like echoes from yesterday. This is not because you lack willpower. It's because your subconscious is running the show, and the subconscious only knows what it has already experienced. Your subconscious is like a library of yesterday's memories, and it doesn't differentiate between what empowers you and what limits you. If you felt anxious yesterday, it remembers. If you believed you weren't good enough yesterday, it remembers. If you replayed the story of failure, rejection, or struggle, it remembers. And here's the key. It doesn't just remember, it repeats. It replays those memories, as if they are the safest way to keep you alive. To the subconscious, the familiar equals survival, even if that familiarity is painful. This is why so many people feel trapped in cycles they can't explain. They find themselves in relationships that mirror the very wounds they wanted to heal. They land in jobs that echo the same frustrations of the past. They sabotage opportunities that could change their lives, not because they consciously want to, but because the subconscious is holding the reins. It's running on yesterday's frequency, a signal that broadcasts the past into the present moment. And as long as the subconscious is tuned to yesterday, tomorrow will look just like today. Let's pause here and really feel into that. How many times have you caught yourself saying, "Why does this always happen to me?" Maybe it's the same kind of partner who doesn't respect you. Maybe it's the same financial struggle that never seems to end. Maybe it's the same lack of confidence that keeps you silent when you want to speak. That frustration, that deep weariness you feel, is the soul's recognition that you are stuck in a loop. You are living in a prison of repetition, and the bars are made of yesterday's thoughts. But here's the beautiful truth. The prison is not real. It only feels real because your subconscious is projecting the past into the present, like an old film playing on repeat. The walls of the prison are not stone, they are belief systems. The guard at the gate is not a person, it is fear. And the chains around your wrists are not unbreakable. They are habits and emotions that can be dissolved the moment you bring awareness to them. Let me give you a simple metaphor. Imagine a person walking in circles inside a field, thinking they are trapped by invisible walls. They never test the edges, never question if the boundary is real, because the mind has already convinced them they are stuck. This is exactly what happens when we live on yesterday's frequency. We don't test the edges of possibility. We don't question whether the old beliefs are true. We simply keep walking the same circle, mistaking it for destiny. Now think about the contrast. On one side there is the self who lives on yesterday's frequency, tired, anxious, repeating the same patterns, longing for change but unable to grasp it. On the other side there is the self who has shifted frequency, vibrant, free, magnetic, aligned with opportunities that once felt impossible. These are not two different people. They are the same soul, the same consciousness, but vibrating at different frequencies. One is tuned to static, the other is tuned to harmony. So what exactly is this frequency we're speaking about? At its core, frequency is simply the energy you emit through your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Every thought is a vibration. Every emotion is a wave. Every belief sends out a signal into the quantum field, attracting experiences that match its resonance. When you're living on yesterday's frequency, you're broadcasting an old signal: fear, scarcity, self-doubt, unworthiness. And the universe, like a mirror, reflects that signal back to you in the form of repeating experiences. This is why manifestation can feel frustrating. People affirm, "I am abundant, I am loved, I am free," but if their subconscious is still broadcasting yesterday's frequency of lack, rejection, and fear, the new affirmation doesn't stick. It's like trying to play a new song on a radio that's stuck on the wrong channel. The static drowns out the melody, and the subconscious keeps humming yesterday's tune. But the good news, the liberating truth, is that once you see the pattern, you can step outside it. Awareness breaks the cycle. You begin to notice the old thoughts rising, and instead of fusing with them, you observe them. You begin to catch yourself replaying the old emotions, and instead of drowning in them, you breathe through them. Slowly, you reclaim the steering wheel from the subconscious autopilot. And the more you do, the more the frequency begins to shift. Let's bring this into something tangible. Imagine someone who has always struggled with money. They grew up hearing, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "We can't afford that." Those phrases became imprints, recorded in the subconscious. As an adult, every time they start to save or succeed, the subconscious replays the old belief: "You don't deserve wealth. It's not safe to have more." Without realizing it, they sabotage themselves, overspending, undercharging, or missing opportunities. This isn't a character flaw, it's the prison of yesterday's frequency. Now imagine another example: love. Someone who grew up with abandonment or betrayal may carry a subconscious belief that love equals pain. No matter how much they consciously desire a healthy relationship, the subconscious keeps pulling them toward partners who mirror the wound. It feels like fate, but it's simply the past echoing into the present. The point here is not to shame or discourage you. The point is to reveal the invisible mechanics of your reality. Because when you can name the prison, you realize you are not the prison. You are the soul observing it. You are the consciousness that has the power to rewrite the script. And here's where the shift begins. The moment you recognize that your current life is not a random accident, but a reflection of subconscious programming, you stop feeling like a victim. You start to sense that you are the author, and though the pen may have been guided by yesterday until now, it is still in your hand. You can choose to write a new story. The prison of yesterday's frequency only holds power as long as you believe the walls are real. Once you awaken to the truth that the subconscious is simply replaying old energy, you take the first step out of the loop. The question becomes, are you willing to step beyond the familiar, even if it feels uncomfortable at first? Are you willing to release the identity that is tethered to the past, so that you can step into the self who is aligned with the future? Because here is the deeper truth: the prison was never meant to keep you stuck. It was meant to awaken you. The repetition, the frustration, the feeling of déjà vu in your own life, they are not punishments, they are invitations. Invitations to see the pattern, to question the program, and to rise above it. And once you accept that invitation, the frequency begins to shift, and the reality you once thought impossible begins to unfold. There comes a moment in every seeker's life when the loop becomes too obvious to ignore. You begin to sense that the reality unfolding around you is not random but patterned. It feels as if life itself is holding up a mirror, reflecting back your thoughts, your beliefs, and your deepest emotions. That recognition, though subtle at first, is the crack in the wall of yesterday's frequency. It is the first light of awakening. Awakening is not a sudden explosion of fireworks or a mystical vision, though sometimes it can be. More often it begins as a quiet noticing. You catch yourself repeating the same thought and think, "Wait, I've been here before." You notice that the emotion rising inside you has nothing to do with the present moment but everything to do with the past. You realize that you've been reacting, not creating. That simple awareness is profound, because what you observe you can no longer unconsciously become. This is where the shift begins. Imagine you are listening to a radio station that only plays static and heavy noise. You've been listening to it for so long. You think it's the only station available. But then one day you hear a faint melody beneath the static. You adjust the dial and suddenly the noise fades and the music comes into focus. That's what awakening feels like. The static of yesterday starts to thin out, and the melody of a new reality begins to emerge. Quantum manifestation teaches us that everything in existence vibrates. Your thoughts, your emotions, your body, even the objects around you, all are vibrating at different frequencies. The subconscious mind acts like a tuning fork, constantly humming with the vibrations you've programmed into it. If the subconscious is still vibrating with fear, lack, or unworthiness, those are the frequencies it attracts. But when awareness steps in, when you begin to notice those vibrations instead of unconsciously fusing with them, you create space for change. Awareness is the master key. Think about it. Before you can change a habit, you must first see it. Before you can heal a wound, you must first acknowledge it. Before you can step into a new reality, you must first recognize the one you're in. The awakening is not about fighting yesterday's frequency, but about witnessing it. When you shine the light of awareness on an old belief, I'm not enough, I always fail, life is hard, you rob it of its power. The belief may still echo for a while, but now you see it for what it is, a program, not a prophecy. And this is where the empowerment begins, because once you recognize that your subconscious has been running on autopilot, you realize you are not the autopilot. You are the conscious pilot who can take back control. You are not the old script. You are the author with the ability to write a new one. This is what it means to awaken to the frequency shift. It is the moment when you step out of being a passive passenger in your life and begin to steer your energy deliberately. Let's take this further. Imagine standing in front of two doors. One door leads to the life you already know. Familiar struggles, predictable outcomes, the comfort of repetition. The other door leads to the unknown. New opportunities, new relationships, new levels of freedom. The subconscious will always nudge you toward the first door because it feels safe, but awakening gives you the courage to place your hand on the second door, even if your heart is racing. Awakening whispers, there is more. Trust the shift. So how do you tune into the new frequency? It starts with subtle choices. Each time you notice an old thought arise, instead of merging with it, you breathe and let it pass. Each time you feel the pull of an old emotion, instead of drowning in it, you observe it like a wave, knowing it will crest and dissolve. Each time you feel the urge to repeat an old habit, you pause and make a new choice, even if it's small. These little moments are not insignificant. They are the brushstrokes that paint the canvas of your new reality. The frequency shift also requires a reorientation of identity. You must begin to see yourself not as the person bound to yesterday but as the person aligned with tomorrow. This means embodying the version of you who already lives in the new vibration. If you desire abundance, you begin to think, feel, and act as someone who knows abundance is natural. If you desire love, you begin to see yourself as already worthy, already whole, already radiating love from within. This isn't pretending, it's aligning. It's tuning yourself to the signal of the reality you wish to receive. One of the most powerful ways to anchor this awakening is through imagination. The mind doesn't distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically experienced. When you close your eyes and visualize yourself living in the new frequency, your subconscious begins to accept it as real. Neurons fire in new patterns, emotions rise in new directions, and the energy you emit starts to shift. You are literally rehearsing your future into being. But let's address something important here. Awakening to the frequency shift doesn't mean the old patterns vanish overnight. The subconscious may still try to pull you back, like gravity holding you to the ground. Old fears may whisper, old doubts may resurface, old habits may beckon. This doesn't mean you've failed. It simply means the old frequency is dissolving, and like any echo it fades gradually. The key is persistence. Each time you choose awareness over autopilot, you weaken the hold of yesterday. Each time you embody the new self, you strengthen the vibration of tomorrow. It is also vital to approach this shift with compassion. Too many seekers judge themselves harshly when the old patterns resurface. They think, I should be further along. I should have changed by now. But judgment is just another echo of yesterday's frequency. Compassion, on the other hand, aligns you with the new. When you forgive yourself for slipping, when you celebrate even small progress, you amplify the vibration of love, and love is the highest frequency of all. So ask yourself, what is the frequency I wish to embody? Not in theory, not as a distant dream, but here and now. Is it freedom? Is it joy? Is it peace? Feel into that frequency. Imagine what it would be like to carry it in your body, to breathe it in with every inhale, to radiate it with every exhale. Imagine walking into a room, and people sensing your energy before you even speak. Imagine opportunities flowing toward you because you are aligned with them at the level of vibration. This is not fantasy, it is the natural outcome of tuning to the right frequency. Awakening to the frequency shift is not about forcing reality to change. It is about aligning your inner world so deeply that the outer world cannot help but mirror it. When you vibrate with peace, chaos loses its grip. When you vibrate with abundance, scarcity dissolves. When you vibrate with love, fear melts away. This is the quantum principle. Like attracts like, frequency responds to frequency. Reality aligns with resonance. And so as you stand at this threshold, remember, yesterday's frequency may feel familiar, but it is not your destiny. You are not bound to the static of the past. You are free to tune into the melody of your future. The moment you choose awareness, the shift begins. The moment you embody the new vibration, the universe begins to rearrange itself around you. Life ceases to be a prison of repetition and becomes a playground of creation. And that truly is the essence of awakening. Up until now, we've uncovered the hidden truth that your subconscious has been replaying yesterday's frequency, and that awakening to this pattern is the first step to freedom. But awareness alone, while powerful, is not enough. Awareness opens the door, but you must still step through. This is where reprogramming begins. The deliberate act of aligning your subconscious with the frequency of the reality you truly desire. Think of your subconscious mind like the soil of a garden. For years, seeds of fear, lack, and self-doubt may have been planted, often unconsciously by parents, teachers, society, or even by your own past experiences. Those seeds grew into weeds that now dominate the landscape of your inner world. But here's the miracle. Soil does not argue with the seeds. It does not judge. It simply brings to life whatever is planted in it. If you choose to plant new seeds, seeds of abundance, love, freedom, and worthiness, the soil of your subconscious will eventually bring those into bloom as well. The first tool of reprogramming is meditation. When you enter a meditative state, you quiet the conscious mind, the busy analytical part of you that is always judging, questioning, and overthinking. In stillness, the gate to the subconscious opens. This is why meditation is not just relaxation, it is a sacred rewiring. In those moments of silence, you can gently introduce new thoughts, new images, and new feelings that the subconscious begins to accept as truth. Even 5 minutes a day of sitting with your breath, imagining the frequency of peace, can begin to rewrite your inner programming. Another tool is affirmations, but not in the mechanical sense that most people use them. Simply repeating words without emotion often does little. The key is to feel the affirmation as if it is already true. If you say, I am abundant, but deep down feel scarcity, the words will bounce off the subconscious. But if you say, I am abundant, while breathing into your heart, while imagining what it feels like to already have more than enough, while allowing gratitude to rise in your body, then the affirmation becomes an energetic imprint. It moves from the surface of the conscious mind into the soil of the subconscious, where it can take root. Scripting is another powerful practice. This means writing down your reality as if it has already happened. When you put pen to paper and describe your future self living in alignment, you are signaling to the subconscious, "This is who I am now." The act of writing anchors the vision more deeply than thought alone. Imagine writing in your journal, "I wake up every morning filled with joy. I am surrounded by love. Opportunities flow to me effortlessly. I feel free, radiant, alive." Each sentence is like a new seed, and the more vividly you describe it, the more your subconscious begins to expect it as reality. Visualization is perhaps one of the most direct tools for frequency shifting. When you close your eyes and picture yourself in the life you desire, seeing the images, hearing the sounds, feeling the emotions, you are literally rehearsing your future. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between imagination and physical experience. To it, both are real. So when you repeatedly visualize yourself as abundant, confident, and free, your subconscious begins to wire that identity into your nervous system. Over time, you naturally start to think, act, and feel like the version of yourself you have been envisioning. But reprogramming is not only about what you do in meditation or visualization, it is also about the choices you make in your daily routine. Every day your habits are sculpting your subconscious. If your mornings begin with worry, scrolling through negative news, or rushing without intention, you are reinforcing yesterday's frequency. But if you begin your day with gratitude, stillness, and even a few moments of conscious breath, you are training the air. Small shifts in routine compound into massive shifts in frequency. Anchoring emotions is another subtle yet powerful tool. Think of a time when you felt deep gratitude, joy, or love. Close your eyes, recall that memory, and allow the emotion to flood your body. Now connect that feeling with the vision of your desire. For example, if you're visualizing abundance, feel gratitude as if you already have it. If you're visualizing love, feel the warmth of connection as if it's already present. By pairing elevated emotions with future visions, you create a magnetic field around you that draws the new reality closer. Now let's talk about contrast. Your old subconscious program is like an autopilot that drags you back into fear, doubt, or limitation. But every time you use these tools, meditation, affirmations, scripting, visualization, you are interrupting that autopilot. You are saying, "I am no longer living from yesterday's script. I am choosing a new frequency." And the more consistent you are, the stronger the new program becomes. It's like building a muscle. At first it feels weak, but with repetition, it grows stronger until it becomes your new natural state. Of course, resistance may arise. The subconscious may try to pull you back with thoughts like, "This isn't working," or "You're just pretending." Remember, that resistance is simply the echo of yesterday's frequency. It's the mind's way of clinging to the familiar. But echoes fade. If you keep showing up, if you keep planting the seeds, if you keep embodying the new vibration, the old program loses its grip. Reprogramming also requires patience. Just as you wouldn't plant seeds in a garden and expect them to bloom overnight, you must allow time for your subconscious to absorb the new frequency. Trust the process. Celebrate small shifts, the sudden moment of peace, the unexpected synchronicity, the subtle change in how you react. These are signs that the soil is responding, that the new seeds are sprouting. And remember, this is not about perfection. You don't have to never think a negative thought again. You don't have to live in bliss 24/7. The goal is not to eradicate the old frequency instantly, but to gradually tune yourself more and more to the new. Each choice, each practice, each moment of awareness is a step closer to alignment. Over time, the new frequency becomes so natural that the old one feels like a distant dream. So, if yesterday's subconscious was an autopilot replaying fear, today's reprogramming is a conscious compass pointing toward freedom. If yesterday's subconscious was a prison, today's reprogramming is the key that unlocks the door. And if yesterday's subconscious kept you stuck in static, today's reprogramming tunes you to the music of your soul. The tools are simple, but their power is infinite. Meditation opens the door, affirmations imprint new beliefs. Scripting paints the vision, visualization rehearses the future. Daily routines anchor the vibration. Emotional resonance charges it with power. Each tool is a portal, and together they create a bridge from the reality you've been stuck in to the reality you are ready to step into. And when you begin to live this way, not occasionally but consistently, you will notice something extraordinary. Life itself begins to respond. Opportunities appear where there were none. Relationships shift or new ones enter. Synchronicities multiply. You feel lighter, freer, more aligned. This is not magic, it is resonance. It is the natural outcome of reprogramming your subconscious to broadcast a new frequency into the quantum field. And so we arrive at the closing of this journey, though in truth it is not an ending at all, but the beginning of something far greater. You now see that yesterday's frequency, no matter how strong it has felt, is not your destiny. It has simply been the echo of the past, reverberating through your subconscious, shaping your choices, your emotions, and your reality. But echoes fade, and the moment you awaken, the moment you choose to reprogram your mind and align with a higher vibration, you step onto a new timeline. I want you to take a deep breath with me now. Inhale slowly, and as you exhale, imagine letting go of the weight of yesterday's frequency. Feel it dissolve, like mist in the morning sun. With each breath you are stepping more fully into the now, the only place where transformation can occur. This present moment is your point of power. Yesterday cannot hold you, and tomorrow is not yet written. Here, now, you are free to choose. The contrast is clear. You could continue living as the old self, replaying the same patterns, repeating the same emotions, reliving the same story. Or you can choose the new self, the version of you who radiates confidence, who attracts abundance, who lives in love and alignment. Both versions exist within you. Both are possible. The difference is the frequency you choose to embody. Remember, your subconscious is not your enemy. It has always sought to protect you by clinging to the familiar. But now, with awareness and compassion, you can guide it toward a new truth. You can feed it new images, new words, new feelings. You can gently, consistently, tune it to the station of joy, of freedom, of abundance. And as you do, reality itself will mirror your new signal. The path forward does not require perfection. It requires consistency. It requires faith. It requires the willingness to pause when the old patterns arise, and to choose differently, even in small ways. Each moment of choice is a thread, and with enough threads, you weave a new fabric of reality. So let this be your invitation, to no longer live as a prisoner of yesterday, but as a creator of tomorrow. To no longer see yourself as bound by static, but as the one who can tune the dial. To no longer believe you are at the mercy of circumstance, but to know you are aligned with the infinite quantum field that responds faithfully to your vibration. Close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine yourself 6 months from now, fully embodying the new frequency. See how you walk, feel how you breathe. Notice the peace in your heart, the abundance in your life, the light in your eyes. That version of you is not far away. That version of you is waiting for you to step forward. Here and now, you are not running on yesterday's frequency anymore. You are shifting, rising, aligning. You are stepping into the reality that your soul has always known was possible. And from this moment on, every breath, every thought, every choice can be a doorway into the life you were born to create. The old self dissolves, the new self emerges, and your journey of conscious creation has only just begun.